Hey guys, welcome back to the Trekyards podcast. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Cockings. Hey guys, welcome back to another glorious Sunday.
So, Samuel, the other day I got really excited because I got a hard drive reader. I ordered a hard drive reader, came in the mail, popped in my old hard drive from my old computer, and thought, hey, look what's on here. Found a couple of mod files and stuff that I had done for an old game from the year 2000. And that game is Starfleet Command Volume 2 Empires at War.
And you got it right there. Nice.
I know, right? Well, that's because, like I said, I just pulled out the hard drive the other day, and I thought, well, I got all my modification files and stuff where you can modify it to do Starfleet battleships, all eras, things like that. So I thought, well, let's try installing it on my new machine, see if it works. I did that. I started the game. It played the whole intro movie beautifully. Crappy resolution, of course, but still played it. Once it got to the play game screen, it freezes every time. It won't play the game. So I'm all disheartened. They need to make these new computers be able to play older games, or they need to remaster these games for modern technology, in my opinion. I mean, seriously. You go to the Interplay website, you can download, like, they've done Starfleet, or Starfleet Academy. You can get that now.
Games on Gold, yeah, they're also out there, aren't they?
Yeah, and the Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Judgment Rights, they both have. Yep. So they have like 3 of their games that are remastered that you can use, but not these ones. Why is that? Guys, this is one of the best games ever designed, in my opinion, for starship battles. Or like for ship battle simulation, and you guys, we can't play it. I need to get an old machine or something to like play this game.
Yeah, just split off your hard drive into Windows 95 disk, section just so you can play it. No.
I guess I could do that. I don't know.
So, Stuart, the question of the podcast is: should it be remastered? Should it be 2017? Should it be a new version? Well, I mean, pitch me. If you don't just want, if it doesn't work and it can't work, how could it be made today, and what would you do, and why should it, Stuart? Apart from just saying it's the best ever, I could say Star Trek 5 is the best ever. Give me a reason.
All right. Well, like I said, I consider it the best game ever. That's not the reason you want. I just want updated graphics, new ships included from the new movies, new franchises. Why can't this be a thing? I mean, you've got the game engine, you've got the game design, you've got the basics down. How hard is it to modify that for a new system? And then tweak the graphics, make them high def or like much better resolution. Add new packages, like I said, different series, different things like that, different modules you can install to add new ships. I mean, they've done it with Bridge Commander over the years. They've modified that game quite a bit. This one, like I said, they have done patches for it where you could like open it up in different ways to play different versions of it with different ships. But there's no support for it these days. And that irks me to no end. If I knew anything about computing and computer systems, I would be in there myself tinkering around with this, getting it to work. I don't understand why a brand new machine that's more powerful than my old one can't go back and play old games. That's just ridiculously silly to me.
Well, Stuart, I'm on the Memory Alpha page, and this game needed, you ready for this, a Pentium 3 500 megahertz or better processor, at least 64 megabytes of RAM, and 600 megabytes of free hard drive space. I mean, this was a beast, and my phone could do this at 1080p. Guaranteed. It could probably do it at 4, well, maybe even 4K. Well, I mean, I played the first one, which wasn't that much, that much before, because a lot of games came out in pretty quick succession in those days. There was the golden era of Star Trek games. So I know the gameplay is pretty much identical. That was the successor to it. Mm-hmm. And from the first game, obviously, I know that it's a very slow feeling game. The turning arcs, I mean, you have to very manually control. Now we have WASD, where it angles you, but in this game you have to click and move.
You can select follow target, and it automatically follows your target.
Oh,
plus,
yeah.
You can increase the game speed. You can increase the game speed to ramp up the speed.
But it's a very, I think obviously games have developed And I mean, there really isn't. There also isn't 3D in this game, is there? It's all in one-dimensional plane. I know that I was like
Pretty much, yeah.
ramming ships, and that doesn't make any difference because you can turn all that stuff off.
Well, and the reason for that mainly is because it's based on the tabletop games like Starfleet Battles. The game mechanics, the gameplay it's all based on the energy allocation from those games. Yep. So it makes sense to add a 3D aspect to it would be kind of neat, but
I mean, then obviously the one that's keeping the flag going is Star Trek Online, and they've got ship simulated flight stuff, and obviously it's sort of similar. You can allocate power. I think most games would have that sort of system just because that's an easy way of keeping things balanced. And in 3D fight, I mean, do you not prefer this 3D fighting style combat? It's more dynamic. There's more weapons potentially. How is that old way better? Do you see how it's aged, or do you think that's a golden age? I mean, compare those two. For those audiences members who never got to play this because they're too young, how would you compare them, and why do you think you should remaster it with the same style?
The thing I like about Star Trek Online is, yes, the 3D aspect of it, being able to angle your ship up or down, and more planes to fight on, which is fine. I don't like the having to scramble to click, certain regenerative, like, your engineering and tactical stations, stuff like that, to get those power, like to click those, and fly your ship at the same time. Whereas Starfleet Command Volume 2, you can slow the gameplay down, do all your allocation and stuff, and then crank it back up and let it do its thing. I don't know if it's because I grew up with Starfleet Battles that I really prefer Starfleet Command Volume 2 better. You just have more control. Plus, you have control over all the ships in your fleet. If you got more than one ship, you can switch between them and allocate whatever they're doing, which targets. I mean, I think you can kind of do that in Star Trek Online. Not really.
Well, there aren't really fleets, obviously, but it's a massive multiplayer game, so normally you go into a raid with your friends, and you call them over the chat or whatever, you say, hey, do this, do that, so that's that sort of fleet mechanic.
But my friends don't play it, most of them, and yeah, the people that I do play with don't listen to me. If I say, go attack that target, I want them to attack that target.
Stuart, it's because you hang out with admirals only. You need to hang out with people lower than your rank, otherwise it doesn't work.
Well, why don't you ever play with me, Commander? I mean, I'd like to play Starfleet Battles or Starfleet Online with you, but you never play.
I just don't play that game. I should, I know. I just have time. I mean, yeah, I think it's interesting you say, slow it down. Obviously, one problem with society now is that the attention span is getting smaller and smaller. Instant gratification. In the olden days, they're literally, you saw a movie in the cinema. And this is before, my day, and then before my day. You saw a film in the cinema. There wouldn't be anything else, and then VHSs came out, and suddenly you can watch it on demand. But it'll take you, 15, 20 minutes to rewind it, because or 3-4 minutes. I mean, it still took a while to go back. It's not, Netflix, boom, next one. Even the idea of having a Netflix, having the next episode, there isn't a disc. You'd have to put another disc in, or wait for the next box to come out. All that stuff is now irrelevant. So, Star Trek Online, obviously, it's very much real time, and it is a MMO, which means massively multiplayer online game, and to give it that depth, you have all those engineering things. You can do all the powers. That's what makes it more than just the same battle every time you. Otherwise, it literally is just the same thing, just fire. There's nothing to it unless you have the extra stuff, which is why that works. If you want to slow things down, obviously, then you can control everything. But I think, unfortunately, for a lot of younger people, they would say this is boring because it is just right. I'm not gonna act. I'm gonna do these 19 things. But why would I want to divert secondary emergency power to tertiary grid?
Fit your auxiliary batteries and power drones, get plasma torpedoes charging, things like that.
I enjoyed that at the time. I certainly enjoyed that at the time. And I still think the first one is an excellent game. I think FTL, which is an indie game on Steam, is a good example. You do energy management, but not in the same way. It's really a lot more streamlined. I think, even Stowe only has 3. So if you were to, again, strip that down, Bridge Commander is a great example. That was Flight Sim. You had those 5 or 4 power. That was the equivalent. I think it couldn't be as drastic as this, otherwise you'd remove yourself from a lot of the audience, and you'd need the young people to play it, because you'd want them to play the old game, and older people are less likely to boot up a PC and play a video game anyway. I think, I'm sure as you get older, you want to play video games probably diminishes just from boredom in real life. So it's a real struggle. So is it better then rather to remaster it in the sense of building a new one, to literally take the previous game, replace all the assets with new assets, and try and make the budget version but still looking better? Is that what would be best then, rather than making a new version?
Yes. I don't care as long as I get to play it. The interface I like. I love the way that it was laid out and designed. It looked really nice. I do like Star Trek Online. They have incorporated a lot of the gameplay aspects from Starfleet Command into that, like specific shield reinforcement or general shield reinforcement. But I mean, in Starfleet Command, you had ECM, electronic countermeasures, and electronic countermeasures, and you could, I mean, you can do everything in Star Trek Online that you could do in that game. I guess you can target plasma torpedoes that are coming towards you. Well, it's a pain in the ass to be shifting between targets really quickly. I'm not good with the keyboard shortcuts, like use my mouse. And when you're trying to fly your ship and use your mouse to click certain things, it's a real annoyance. I think that's one of the reasons that I kind of prefer Starfleet Command. I guess I'm just old school. I don't know. I just haven't got used to the shortcut keys because I don't play the game as often as I should, I guess. I hardly get a chance to play, so when I do play, I don't remember the shortcut keys, so I'm just like, and just kind of do what I do. I don't know. I really want this game back. I love this game. I played this game for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, and it's great because you got multiplayer missions. You got single campaigns. I used to play over the dial-up network with my brother. Yes.
Insert better noise. Well, I mean, I'm looking at the front cover of the disc, and there's so many races. I always loved choice. I mean, Armada 1 had like 3, Armada 2 had like 6, or 4 and 6. And that really adds so much extra playability. I mean, especially when the gameplay is so simple, and especially with those games, all the story elements are voiceover. Voiceover actors are not very expensive and don't take much time to build in terms of sequences. So you can spend the time making, 2, 3, 4, 5 races. I mean, the obvious modern day keeping the flag alive for sort of modding for this sort of style is Armada 3. Since we're Solar Empire, Armada 3, I mean, they've, Max and the team have done a superb job with, every race, every ship, every game ship, some new ships, old ships, variations, tech tree. I mean, that is the truest Starfleet fleet combat game ever made. I don't think it will be beaten for a long time because it's just absolute pinnacle. Doesn't do as well in the single person combat. That's just not style of game. So you need that single ship mission combat simulator as well. That Star Trek Online is great, but I don't have friends that play Star Trek Online games. So I also want a single player experience where I can do that, and then play other races and such. So yeah, I think there's certainly a space for that. We've got the new VR game coming out, Bridge Crew, which is something, but we still, I think, do need something of this sort as well. Although, what if you had, for example, so say it was remastered, you build all the ships, and I mean, come on, the ships are so easy to build at this point, there's reference material for all of them. And if they haven't got reference material, go check out Trekyards, game development team, because there's all photos of most ships in our episodes, and detail shots, you can make them all, it's not very difficult. But wouldn't it be great if you had the basic same structure, widescreen, 1080p, beautiful, better game engine, better graphics engine, but you could toggle on 2D and 3D mode. So 2D you stick to one plane, 3D you could do all the movements. So because just a single switch, and you could give that feel.
I would be all down for that. Although I do like the 2D aspect of the gameplay because the tabletop kind of style. But
that's what I mean.
I mean, that's two-dimensional thinking. That'll get you torpedoed up the tailpipe.
Have you seen Star Trek, though? It's all 2D dimensional thinking almost. So you're in good company there.
Yeah, that's true.
Is there anything you'd change then if you were to remaster it, like actually change or improve? I mean, it is a 17-year-old game. It came out 2000. 17 years old. What would you improve about it?
As far as gameplay mechanics? Nothing.
Well, anything really.
It's okay. As far as I'm concerned, it's a perfect game because it's based on the older ones that have manual upon manual upon manual that just have focused on this game and how to get it to work properly. And they've tried to incorporate all that into a computer game. So I think there's nothing wrong with the game except for the fact that it can't play on my computer and the graphics are kind of crap. So you you get it to work on my new system, and you improve, like you said, 1080p. You know, good graphics, new ships, new renders. That's all it needs. Honestly, that's all the gameplay needs. There's nothing wrong with the game. I love how you mentioned that there's so many races on here, because yeah, you've got the Lyrans, the Kzinti, and they all use different weapons and different tactics. Interstellar Concordium, the Andromedans, they got weapons that you never have heard of, like plasma pulsar devices and expanding shield or sphere generators and cool stuff. So that's what makes this game unique to me, and it's the fact that it's based on Starfleet Battles, which is what I played growing up. So it's something we always talked about when we played. Oh, it'd be cool if they made a computer game of this. Then this came along. We're like, yes! And now you can't play it. So I want to go back to my childhood, I guess, and play this game and just sit down and enjoy it. Because this one and Armada 2 are like my favorite games of all time for Star Trek.
I do think that the problem is going to be that when you reach certain milestones, certain things, and certain technological improvements, you'll go back, you know, and see it for what it is. In you know, you lose the context, and it is always tricky to replay your old games, because it's very doubtful you'll enjoy them in the same way. You know, I did an experiment a while ago. People went back and played GoldenEye, and they're like, "Wow, the controller's awful," because I always had to play it the original way. That was sort of part of the point. Controller's bad. Controls are awful. You know, that it's so inaccurate, but there's so many cheap shots. You know, all the flaws are even more blatant, because there was, you know, unlike modern games, you can't patch them. So every flaw that existed, that was it. You know, there was nothing else. So same sort of thing. I think the flaws and the slowness. I think you know, would you really want to, nowadays? You might not want to spend, you know, an hour and 20. Because I remember spending a long time. Could you even go to warp in this game, or you just in system? I'm pretty sure you just were in the system that you need to be, and then you impulsed somewhere. Yeah,
there were no warp tactics or anything. It was all impulse.
Yeah. Because then I remember having to go a very, very, very long way the edge of the system just to do something. It's like, wow, this is far. But then, I mean, it's this expansive space,
because you can't warp in a solar system, right?
Yeah, unless you can.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like you've seen the game maps for Starfleet Battles, right? With all the hexes.
Mm-hmm.
Each hex on that map is 10,000 kilometers.
Hmm.
So, like, phasers have a range of like 5 to 6 hexes for causing damage. At a distance of 6, you get very little chance of a hit.
10,000 kilometers. A Borg cube is 3 kilometers. You're saying that a phaser can still do damage at 10 times the length of a Borg cube.
Very, very little, and if it hits at all, yeah, there's no sense firing when it's an object.
Yeah, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I would said 1. I mean, you know, just that it would seem very torpedoes maybe, but they project down. That's a game mechanic. That's a flawed mechanic certainly, but torpedoes less so.
No, it's not.
They're not meant to go that far. Otherwise, you could just phaser them from like. You could phaser the Earth from the moon.
But the map is like 100 hexes across.
Yeah, so it should be phaser power in 1 hex. I mean, you could be in the same battle zone.
If you're phasering them in the same hex or the next hex, the chance to hit them is great, and the damage is going to be awesome. 2 hexes, it lowers, and then it's like you can't even hit them. So, anyway, don't knock my games, man. They make sense. They've been thought through. A lot of people have worked on them. Don't insult a lot of people. Just saying. But anyway, yeah, so the gist of this is, please, for the love of God, somebody at Interplay or somebody with any kind of computing knowledge, get my game working. Help me out, please. Please. Re-release it. Re-release all 3. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, all in a collector's pack with some kind of bonus disc that has something. And even if you don't improve the resolution or whatever, that's fine. Just get it to work on modern systems. I would fork out money for this. Absolutely.
Well, the irony is, one thing you can do, even with, I mean, we were trying to use a video game asset from Star Trek Legacy, and I remember Legacy being beautiful ships, you know, wonderful 3D models, wonderful lighting engine. We pulled a ship out of the game, and it was absolutely appalling. I mean, it was like a fan could make better in, you know, a day. It was really a letdown, and not at all what I can remember, but because I remember it at the time, and that's 2006, and that was the most beautiful game of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, these models are even more rudimentary, which is ironic because the models made in the show, obviously, Like, they're 3D models. I mean, we got assets from DS9 in the early 90s, and they're obviously 10 times better. It's funny how, you know, that's why the Armada 1 and 2 CGI sequences look so good. They're using the original models from the shows. That's why they have a bit more punch. But I think, you know, one thing you can do, and I've seen happen before, but same game engine, you rewrite some code, you allow it to do 1080p obviously, but you also increase the anti-aliasing. You add an extra, you know, bit of code. When you can smooth those pixels, you add that back in and you really pump that up. You can actually smooth out a lot of the edges. I mean, it won't look good, but it will be smooth, so it looks, you know, okay on a bigger thing. So as soon as you stretch out a game that's meant to be 640 into 1080, it's going to look bad anyway. But if you can make that transition okay, then at least it's dating itself better. Because boy, we had small screens, and I mean, obviously these games were built for screens that were this deep. I played on again, you know, played on that deep. So
yeah,
I would play it. I would play it, and I want all the eras, and I want, you know, a good story, and I want a narrative, and I want to, you know, do it. Sure.
Cool. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode. Please, someone help me. I want to play Starfleet Command Volume 2 again.
He's putting his soul out there on the line, saying this is what he needs, what Captain Foley needs to be happy in life.
It's true. Please help me, someone. So yeah, I like your idea of partitioning my hard drive, though. I might try that.
That was the word I was looking for, partition. Yeah.
Maybe that'll work. Never really thought about that. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Please comment below what you think of Starfleet Command Volume 2, whether you think it should be remastered, what games you'd like to see. I'm sure we'll do more discussions on different games at some point. But please like, subscribe, share, all that good jazz.
And if you want to support us directly, rather than just sharing, you can support us two ways, either via our Patreon, which is YouTube. You know, creators make content. You watch the content. If you want to support that content, you go to Patreon. You donate a certain amount per month, like a Netflix or whatever, but it can be as much as $1, $5, $10, $20, whatever you want, and it'll all go towards helping the show, or a one-time donation at our website, Trekyards.com. Click that donate button and basically give us a tip. You think we've done a good job, help us out, and help us make more show. And if you can't, just share around, but we rely on you guys to help us out. So please do.
Yes. But anyway, until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Kongs.
Play on. Just don't let your game engine get
Windows
updated.
2000.
Yes, don't. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.